We had a couple of workshops where our maintenance shop owner, who's an A&P and IA, was actually teaching workshops for free to anyone that wanted to show up. So it was kind of interesting because we had half the people that showed up for the workshop were pilots that wanted to learn more about maintaining their aircraft. But we also had 5 or 6 kids with their parents show up just to learn about what a potential, A&P maintenance career could look like.
Welcome to the Aviation Mentors Podcast, the podcast that takes your dreams of flight and turns it into reality.
Sponsored by Strass Financial, financing your flight training.
For pilots, by pilots. I'm Brandon Martini, a commercial pilot and flight instructor.
And I'm Carson Vasquez, I'm a private pilot.
Whether you're a seasoned pilot or beginner with dreams of flight,
Aviation Mentors is your source for expert insights, industry trends, and inspiring stories.
So fasten your seatbelts and prepare for this incredible journey through the skies.
And stay connected with us on social media for exclusive content.
And visit our website at www.aviationmentors.com and let us be your co-pilot on this adventure.
Welcome back, everyone, to another amazing and awesome episode of the Aviation Mentors Podcast. Funny enough, today I stole Brandon's line, not just to mess with him, but because he's not here. Brandon's out sick. I guess he couldn't handle all the fun we had at Aero Summit. Which I think was actually an amazing success. We had a lot of positive feedback and it was a lot of fun. We met a lot of great people and made a lot of great connections, friends, and we can't wait for Aero Summit 2026 already. So I'll tell you guys as soon as we know when that is, but everyone that showed up, thank you so much for your support and for an amazing time. But today, in replacement of Brandon, we actually have a guest. We have Ryan Bliss with us today. And Ryan is a commercial pilot, flight instructor, and the founder of the Vermont Aviators Association, which is a nonprofit that promotes aviation education and community engagement through events like fly-ins, workshops, and festivals. And for Ryan, after discovering aviation in 2018, he earned multiple pilot certifications. As we can tell, he's a commercial pilot and a flight instructor, so he went pretty far already. And he now owns a RV-10 based in Rutland, Vermont. He graduated from Elon University, and Ryan's really passionate about making aviation accessible, especially for youth in underserved communities, which I think is fantastic, especially as someone who had to get a scholarship for me to start flying. I'm really partial to this. It's something that I think is really important. So Ryan, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Well, the first thing we always ask, even with Brandon not here, is what got you into aviation? How did you start flying?
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't touch aviation for most of my childhood and adult life. I was about 40 years old, living in Nashua, New Hampshire, working in the greater Boston area for a medical device company, and just happened to see all these little Cessnas and Pipers flying over the highway in Nashua pretty much every day. There's 3 flight schools at that particular Class Delta airport. So just got me wondering about what it would be like to fly airplanes. How does this whole operation work? Like I said, I had no friends or family in aviation, so I just wasn't familiar with the aviation industry, especially general aviation. So I just started researching how to take a flight lesson and found a flight instructor at Nashua Airport in Nashua, New Hampshire. Took a lesson and just instantly, as I'm sure you did, fell in love. And after my introductory flight, came down and asked the flight instructor if I could just do this every day with him. So it was just one of those instant clicks where, everything just fit. And I immediately fell in love. I wanted to do that as often as I possibly could.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a rare story at all. The only really scary thing about aviation is how fast you can fall in love with it.
Right.
And how fast that bug gets you.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that I've even noticed with friends and family that I've taken flying. They'll come up with me, and some of them, you can actually observe the process where they're either immediately enthralled and fall in love with it, or they're kind of like, it's interesting, but I'm going to go on my way. But yeah, it really got me pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, that got me right away. I started flying with one of my friends in high school, and from there it was immediately fell in love with it, and kept pulling me back in, and here we are.
Absolutely.
One of the things that you do that's really cool is the Vermont Aviators Association, obviously. So can you tell me a little bit about how you started it and what led to that path?
Yeah, sure. So when we moved to the Rutland, Vermont area about 4 years ago, we bought a hangar in an RV-10, as you mentioned, and we started to meet our hangar neighbors and other base operators at the airport. And we just thought it would be fun to start doing little cookouts. So we had, just little hamburger get-togethers at the airport, and then we just started chit-chatting about, hey, maybe we should do something a little bit bigger. Let's do a food truck fly-in and see if anyone comes. Really, just as a beta test, would anybody even show up. So we had one food truck, and we had quite a turnout from airports around the local Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Connecticut area that showed up. So then it just got us a little, gave us the motivation to do a bigger event. So we started planning these what we called food truck fly-ins, but it was a lot more than that. So we generally had about 4 to 6 food trucks. And then we also had helicopter rides from North Country Heliflight. So folks could come in, and I think they were charging $40 for a 5-minute helicopter ride. And so it was essentially affordable to anyone. So we had a ton of people come and take rides on the helicopter. We had the Vermont National Guard come down and offer tours of their military aircraft. We had, at one of our events in Franklin, we had multiple antique aircraft from Beta Technologies in Burlington, Vermont on display, as well as flight instructors from Vermont Flight Academy who were there to meet with anyone that wanted to potentially get into aviation and just to learn a little bit more about that procedure. We had a number of sponsors, Cape Air, as well as a number of others that were there and either raffling off in Cape Air's airline tickets. And we had Wheelan Aerospace Technologies giving away aircraft lights, and our local maintenance shop at the airport giving away oil changes for aircraft. We had a couple of workshops where our maintenance shop owner, who's an A&P and IA, was actually teaching workshops for free to anyone that wanted to show up. So it was kind of interesting because we had half the people that showed up for the workshop were pilots that wanted to learn more about maintaining their aircraft. But we also had 5 or 6 kids with their parents show up just to learn about what a potential, A&P maintenance career could look like. And so they sat through it. So it was a lot of fun. And we did 3 of those. And now we're doing some other events this year. We work a lot with EAA doing Young Eagles flights. We're actually going to be doing a poker run this summer, where we've got multiple airports that everyone will fly to get a card. And then we finish the event, and whoever has the best hand will win some prizes, and everyone will cook out at the end. So just kind of general fun events as well. But that's what we've really enjoyed. We've also tried to get aviation curriculums into schools in Vermont as well, which we've had some success with. We've teamed up with the local news station in Burlington to promote the AOPA Aviation High School curriculum. And we've got a couple schools that have adopted that in Vermont, and they've actually got kids going through that right now for their private pilot certificates and as well as their remote pilot certificates through that curriculum. So we've been pretty fortunate to be able to successfully implement workshops, events, education into the state of Vermont for folks. So we've been very happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard about the education in schools portion of it. And one of the things we always talk about is that financial barrier to becoming a pilot, and getting into schools is a great way. So what do those programs actually look like?
Well, so the way it works is AOPA funds all of it. And so if you have a high school that is interested in bringing the aviation curriculum into their high school, what they can do is designate an instructor or teacher that will teach the class. And AOPA will actually take them down to their headquarters in Frederick, Maryland, and train them to then train their students how in private and well as remote pilot courses. And so the way the curriculum works is the instructor or the teacher at the high school will take them through both the remote pilot and the private pilot course. And then at the end of the year, they take their written exam for their private pilot certificate and the written exam for their remote pilot certificate. And then that's sort of the jump off point for their career if they decide they want to go further and get into commercial aviation. And it's all free from AOPA. Obviously, AOPA funds this through donations from their members, and they give it back to the community by doing this. And so, for example, Chris Hodsden is the person at one of the schools in Vermont who saw this on the news when I was interviewed and called me immediately and said, I want to do this. He's a former naval aviator, and he was also a principal for a school system. So he's both an educator and an aviator. And so he's already brought this into the school system in Vermont that he works at, and he's teaching the courses now. In fact, I spoke to him the other day, and he's about to go get his advanced ground instructor certificate, so that he can sign off his students for their written exams, which they're ready to take right now. So it's really nice to see those programs taking off and kids actually getting excited and getting into the programs and hopefully launching careers in aviation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're seeing the growth in not just the students and their careers, but also in the adults, like you said, like going and getting your ground instructor. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been very rewarding.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So one of the things that we're discussing along those lines was, that parallel between getting a student loan and going to college for it. So I'm not sure what your experience is with Part 141 and Part 61 programs or going to college for aviation. Do you have any opinions on any of that? Because I know a lot of people compare the high college costs and an aviation college program versus just going to a private flight school and doing it.
Yeah, so there's just so much to consider with that. If you look at the average cost of a 4-year undergraduate degree these days, you're typically talking $200,000 in most parts of the country. And that's a huge amount of money to get a bachelor's degree and then look for a job in what's a tough job market. And, that can be a challenge all on its own. So one of the beautiful things about aviation in my mind is when you're at the age where you're thinking about college, 17, 18 years old, whether you want to go to college or you wanted to go into a vocational, industry for work, I think it would be great if we also put in front of them, there's another option, which is aviation. Now, aviation is not cheap, as you know. Aviation is extraordinarily expensive, but for the same price that you would pay for a 4-year bachelor's degree, you could do all of your training from 0 hours flight time and 0 experience to airline transport pilot for about the same price. And so with that, in a shorter time, you could probably do it in about 3 years versus 4 years. But call it, even if you say they're about the same time, about the same cost, that will put you into a career in aviation where, just like any other career, when you get your first job, you're not going to be making a fortune right away. But if you stick with it and if you love it, you can work your way within probably 10 years to legacy airlines. Once you start working for the regionals. And, so if you're in your 30s, early 30s, maybe mid 30s, working for a legacy airlines, some of those pilots are making between $250,000 and $400,000, maybe even more. And they fly half the days of the month. So they get quite a bit of time off as well. So the quality of life is pretty fantastic. And if you love to fly, I mean, there's nothing better than that. So you love what you're doing. You're working half the month. You're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just a great scenario. So I think one of the challenges is people just aren't aware of that. I know when I went to high school, I had no idea about aviation careers. Obviously, I knew pilots existed, but I just didn't know what the procedure was, how to get there, what the costs were, what the timeline looked like in order to become an airline transport pilot or a commercial pilot. And so it just wasn't even an option. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to start Vermont Aviators Association, is just to put those opportunities in front of kids, as well as adults too, but mainly in front of kids so that they just know about it. So I think it's one of those things I would say that it's really important to just consider and put on the table, because it's not necessarily more expensive than getting a 4-year bachelor's degree. It may not be what you want to do, but for a decent, percentage of the population, it may be a dream career for them that they can go on and to get a loan, get through their flight training, get a job, start paying it back just like you would with a loan for getting a 4-year bachelor's degree, and launch a career that they absolutely love. And the nice thing about this too is, pretty much within your first 2 or 3 flight lessons, whether or not you are absolutely in love with it. So if you go up in your first couple of flights and you're like, I don't know, maybe not, it's probably not for you. But generally what happens is you go up on as we discussed, your first flight or two, and you're just absolutely enthralled, in love, hooked, and want to do it all day, every day. It's still a lot of work to get through all the training, and it certainly takes a major effort, lots of studying and time and effort. But the reward, in my opinion, and as well as yours, it sounds like, is just well worth it. And if you can launch a career that pays, that kind of a lucrative salary, if you enjoy travel, you can go all over the world. And having, 2 weeks off every month is kind of nice as well. So
not a bad gig.
No, not at all.
You know what time it is, Carson?
Time's it, Brandon?
It's time to talk about one of our favorite companies.
Which company would that be?
Aviation Mentors is excited to be sponsored by the one and only Stratus Financial, dedicated to supporting the next generation of future aviators.
You know, Stratus Financial really understands the financial challenges that students face in pursuing their aviation dreams. That's why they offer student loans specifically tailored to aspiring pilots.
With competitive rates and flexible repayment plans, Stratus Financial helps take your aviation education to new heights.
So go visit their website today at www.stratus.finance. Just to be clear, that is not .com, it's .finance. And embark on your journey towards a sky full of possibilities.
Carson, it's time to get back to what we do best.
The show. Well, one of the things we were talking about right before the episode started was a company that does some pretty incredible things for its employees. I'll let you speak to that in just a second. But I think one of the most important points is that there are people out there that care. Everyone wants to make aviation more accessible, and everyone wants everyone to become a pilot, right? That's just it's something we love and something we want to share. So what were you telling me just before this episode started about that company?
So there's a company in Burlington, Vermont, and they're called Beta Technologies, and they're leading the development of electric aircraft in the United States. So they're a local company here, and we've become involved with them a little bit because they have sponsored in the respect of having vintage aircraft come to our fly-in events. They have sponsored Vermont Aviators in that respect. They've shown up to our events with all these really cool antique aircraft to let kids and parents and adults view them, sit in them, take pictures, in the pilot seat, and it's been a ton of fun. But one of the things that this company does that, in my opinion, is probably the greatest benefit of any company, at least that I've ever heard of, beyond, health benefits and those kind of things, they will actually pay for, the company will pay for all of the pilot certificate ratings for their employees. So if you show up anywhere from, custodian all the way to the C-level employees, the company will pay for and fund all of their ratings. So if you show up as an engineer or a marketing person or a salesperson or whatever the case may be, as a new employee and you've never flown an airplane before, they have a fleet of aircraft to train you in, as well as a team of flight instructors to do the training that they employ. And so you could get your private pilot certificate, your commercial pilot certificate, your multi-engine, your flight instructor certificates and ratings. And the company will pay for it. And to me, it just truly shows what you were just saying, like a true love for aviation, as well as getting more people into aviation to share that love and really, helping them to enjoy, in this case, the industry that they're involved in. Obviously, they're leading the development of an innovative new technology in aviation. But I've just never heard of any company doing something that impactful for their employees. It really is impressive.
Yeah, that's like when you told me about that, I was kind of shocked. I've heard of General Atomics, and I know they give out, I think $5,000 to $10,000 a year for their employees to stay current for the most part. But it sounds like Beta Technologies really goes the extra mile. So that's really cool. Hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And by doing that, also they attract some of the best talent in the country. And so it's also a smart business move as well.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah, anyone that's a pilot would love all the extra ratings and the extra help. I mean, that's life changing. So I totally agree. Ryan, thank you so much for being on with us today. It was a great time talking to you, and you have a great mission. And I know that Vermont Aviators is doing a lot to expand, and I'm really looking forward to hearing all about that. But for everyone else listening, we have some huge news, and I'm not sure how much we've talked about it. We've been really focused on Aero Summit. But if you're studying to become a pilot, we have a scholarship for you. Stratus Financial is giving away a $10,000 scholarship to help one lucky flight student pay for their training. This goes directly to the flight school of your choice, anywhere in the U.S. or Puerto Rico. The deadline to apply is June 20, 2025, and the winner will be announced live from Oshkosh AirVenture on Stratus Financial's social media channels. Super easy to apply, and Brandon's not here to tell me, but I am not eligible for it. I already asked. But for everyone else, just head to stratus.finance/scholarship to get all the details. So stratus.finance/scholarship. Check it out. If you or someone you know could use a financial boost to achieve their goals of becoming a commercial pilot. And if you'd like to reach out to either of us, you can reach us at our emails, carson@aviationmentors.com or brandon@aviationmentors.com. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe on whatever platform you listen to us on. huge part of helping us grow the podcast and helping us grow our aviation community. And speaking of growing our aviation community, Ryan, how can the people find you? And I know you have some other news that we've been waiting for, so feel free to tell us.
Yeah, so they can, anyone can visit our website at vermontaviators.org, and we have an events link, and you can click on that and see what events we have planned for the year. We're doing a lot of, Young Eagles events this year, but I will say, kind of want to plug one event we're doing that's going to be a lot of fun and kind of a unique event on August 16th. And we'll be starting that event at Rutland Airport in Vermont and finishing it at Franklin County Airport in northern Vermont. And it's a poker run. And so we're going to start at Rutland, and we're going to go to 4 different airports. And at each airport, you'll get a card. And then the event will end at Franklin County Airport, and whoever has the best hand will win some prizes, and we'll have some food and a cookout. And when we started at Rutland, we'll have breakfast and everything for everyone that wants to come in to get started. And it's really just a fun event. It's not necessarily educational or a workshop or anything, but this is really just building sort of the community part of Vermont Aviators Association, where if we can get as many GA pilots to come in and have a little breakfast and coffee and donuts at Rutland, and then fly to each of the airports to get their cards, and then everyone will have their hands at Franklin County and sort of figure out who wins and who gets prizes and things like that. So I think that's going to be a fun one. If anyone wants to join us on August 16th, that'll be a great time. Rain date is August 30th for that one. And one other thing too that I just wanted to mention, in about 6 to 12 months, I'll be launching a new aviation business that is going to be, if nothing else, a lot of fun that I'd love to come back on and tell your audience about. So I'll leave it at that, but it will be something kind of new and unique that you don't see in aviation currently. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
We would love to have you back for it. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you. And, poker runs like that, I've done, I think, 2 of them before for EAA down here, and they are so much fun. We always talk about how important it is to have that community bonding and just getting out to know people. So it's a huge opportunity for it. And I wish you guys a lot of luck.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we were really happy to be here. So thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. And for everyone else, as a wrap up for the day, remember, we're here to guide you in your aviation journey. So fly safe and enjoy the ride. See you guys.